What's good, y'all? It's Dom Universe. Back with another Cosmic Intentions episode. This is gonna be about Earth or Gaia, Tiamat, whatever you want to call it. Before it became smaller, moved to the spot it's in now, became solid. This is before it got hit. Earth was a mother star. It was a dark star. That's why it's called Mother Earth. Nature on Earth is called Mother Nature. Earth represents birth, fertility, creation, balance. It represents Lucifer before it fell. So Lucifer is not necessarily person once again, or one person at all, but it represents many things, and it can be interpreted in many ways. Yeah, so I'm about to use this video real quick for this first part of the video as a basis and help y'all understand what took place with like creation, what Earth actually is, what the solar system actually is, etc. Right? So let's get into it.
An indefinable utterance echoes throughout a limitless emptiness. Feel it pulsing and spiraling from this silent sonar field. Infinite droplets of pure light emerge, open and unfold into a spiraling dream of luminosity, like a flower opening in a thunderous flash. Creation.
So what you're looking at from a Gnostic point of view, what she is explaining is the Big Bang Theory, right? So this flower represents that Higgs object or whatever, that big vacuum looking thing in space, which is really basically like a cosmic vagina that represents cosmic birth, okay? It's not a vacuum, but it do represents magnetism. Vaginas, feminine energy represents magnetism. Like magnetism is the feminine energy. Electricity is the positive energy. So what it's showing you here is the creation myth, right? And the flower represents fertility. It represents the vagina. Fertility, fertile, plants, growth, phosphorus, right? So let's go.
Begins to ignite the darkness. Swirling spirals of dancing light, decorating infinity. Experiencing this mythic imagination as though it were unfolding within you as you watch, perhaps as you awaken each morning from a dream. This world in between sleeping and waking is full of swirling light, not yet embodied.
In colors that you can't see here, but when you're there, like when you're dreaming, you can see these colors. So that is a whole different light spectrum for those who don't understand what's going on here. Everybody else who understand the light spectrum and whatnot, because I've explained this so many times on my channel. Yeah.
A field of consciousness awaiting expression through you. We are all the aspects of this dream as Sophia.
We are all aspects of this dream from Sophia. Sophia basically is what the Gnostics call the mother goddess principle. Basically, the feminine energy of existence. So it ties into the simulation. Like you live in, when people ask, what if we are just dreaming? We are in a way. If you get how dimensions work and how when we come down here on Earth into this 3D reality, we go through a type of amnesia where we don't remember our afterlife. But when we descend from here, we are able to remember. Some people who live here they already remember. Some people can learn to remember. Okay? So yeah.
The first idea of creation, the emanation of limitless light. Envision or imagine the white fire core of the galaxy, producing the pattern of a toroidal movement pouring through the intensity of the galactic center, a potent mass of power, light, and activity. The force of creation emerges from the absolute aloneness of the ineffable one upon the lace pattern and proportion of the field of geometry, the field that supports all manifestation.
Also, if you go look at a galaxy, it has two poles. It's just like your brain. It got two hemispheres, just like your brain has a right and a left hemisphere. It has a mother star in the middle. Like I said before, I don't believe that is a black hole in the middle, in the center of the galaxy. It's not sucking things in. It's just that when things get into the orbit, they get destroyed or whatever. It's not a black hole. It's not just sucking things in, because the stars at the center of the galaxy are orbiting around the center of the galaxy, similar to how protons are orbiting around the nucleus of an atom, if I said that correctly. So just like how they just orbiting around, just like how it's showing you here. They're orbiting around the center of the galaxy. They're not being sucked in. Okay? So from my research, this thing in the center of the galaxy is called a mother star, and there is about two of them there, not just one. But yeah, that mother star represents the pineal gland at the center of your brain. Okay, so the core of the galaxy, where the galaxy got two hemispheres and a mother star in the center. Your brain got a left and a right hemisphere and a pineal gland in the center.
This creative force has an intense longing for two-ness, that is, for the experience of and with another. From two-ness arises the power of multiplicity, by which the original absolute one enters into the play and the outpouring as the universal all. Appearing as a galactic spiraling movement of our own Milky Way galaxy, we take our place in the infinite universe. The Gnostics call the core of this universal process the pleroma, this white fire core.
Pleroma is basically like the opposite of where we at now, which they would call the steroma, which represents the third dimension on Earth. Pleroma, the center of the galaxy, means heaven. Now remember, heaven it don't gotta mean the overall heaven, because heaven and heavens can represent the planets. Heavens can represent the skies. Heaven can represent 5D consciousness. Okay? Heaven can represent you just being in peace. It can represent a mindset. Okay? It don't gotta represent the overall, you get what I'm saying, final destination, or what you would think is the final destination. It's not, 5D is not even the final destination, but you get what I'm saying. It's not the overall, like, heaven. Now remember, before we had physical bodies, that's where we were at, the center of the galaxy. Remember the extraterrestrials who came down and told the Africans, according to Credo Mutwa, the African Zulu wisdom keeper who died, humans were a leading race in the galaxy. Now, I'm saying this is true before we had physical bodies, okay? Before physical bodies. So what we would look like is non-physical bipedal humanoids. And we have been here before in those forms. So we have history on this planet that can't be physically recorded on the archaeological level, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, you can't find these with like bones. But I'm gonna get into that stuff later on in this video and in other videos. But keeping it pushing.
Or pleroma, meaning fullness, or the thoughts of God, or the original idea. This pattern is similar to the look of a cell in our own physical body. We can feel and connect with this power of life as the origins within your own self. Imagine now the serpent-like torrents of energy, massive, writhing energies in the core of the galaxy. These energies become distinct as the one begins exploring being. These energies, massive and torrential, are known in the Gnostic texts as the aeons, a Greek word meaning emanation.
If you don't know what an aeon is, from a Gnostic point of view, aeon is like the angels, and the archons are basically the demons, which are reptiles, and neonates, which are grays. So when you see the Gnostics say Dracon, these are the reptilians. These are the Draco Alpha Draconians. When you see them say neonate, Neonate, that represents the grays, the gray alien, which is a genetically damaged human.
Time, cycle, process. The aeons manifest sensory worlds through dreaming. The one creates multiple emanations in the pleroma, each with a masculine, feminine polarity, sort of the yin and yang vortices. They're always in movement, vitally interpenetrating each other. These aeons form pairs, which are called syzygies. Together, these emanations begin to project a thought form. A seed is formed from the geometries that underlie all creation. And the pleromic dreaming was to cultivate this seed towards an imaginal being called Anthropos, the possible human. This dreaming of all the aeons perhaps resembles a group of gardeners facing a fertile, empty.
So Anthropos. Anthropos, from a Gnostic point of view, means us, humans.
Field. How might they design a place of beauty, potential home for humanity? The aeons seed their imagination as an energy of gold that takes form across untold spans of time in the outer reaches of the galaxy, 28,000 light years from the core. The aeons look beyond the radiant core to the place where that seed of life is perfect, not too far, not too close to the heat of the galactic center. Among the emanations in the galactic core, there exists one coupling that the Gnostics referred to as Christos, Sophia. Sophia, as the feminine, was curious, interested, enthralled, and intensely allured by the possibility for creation that existed in this golden seed of Anthropos. She begins to travel by herself, her attention so riveted on this experiment in the outer arm of the galaxy that she unwittingly passes through a veil with unexpected consequences.
Now, right there where she passed through that veil is her descending. That is where that represents Lucifer. Not a being, not some one person named Lucifer that got sent from heaven. Lucifer represents anything. If you go from high vibration, feeling happy, and somebody or something makes you feel a lower vibrational emotion or just get you in your lower nature, like feeling anger or fear or something, you have became Lucifer. You see what I'm saying? Or you taking energy from the sun and your body transforming it into energy or nutrients, vitamin D, or giving your body more testosterone, that is Lucifer. Or phosphorus being transformed into nutrients by the ground and then it making it be able to grow grass or plants faster. If you ever plant phosphorus before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you ever worked on the golf course and you had to replant the spots where they tee off, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Phosphorus. So that represents Osiris, who is also representing Lucifer, because he is the god of love and fertility, planting the seed, creation, sex. You see where I'm going here? Boom.
Being that she is a primal force of creation, an emanation of divinity itself, she unexpectedly gives birth to a distorted life form the Gnostics call Yaldabaoth. He who then assumed himself to be the God who created it all, and who had no other gods before him, was thrown out from her light form, along with other creations of his intention, which are represented here as imperfect geometries. They become robotic, mechanized.
You see that?
Aspects of the creation. This is a vision of how the fall into matter, a fall into time.
Oh yeah, and descendant onto earth is also representative of Lucifer. So it is not a single, it's not a single being.
In space, into the forces of gravity might be explained. Sophia falls. It's not a sin. It's no shame.
It's not a sin. It's no shame.
But the laws are different here.
Now look, what she is showing you. Now remember, what is that? Rome or Greece? Vulcan, the god Vulcan is cut off from the mother. Jupiter is cut off from the mother. Saturn is cut off from the mother. Ogo to the Dogon tribe is cut off from the mother. Yaldabaoth by the Gnostics is cut off from the mother. All these gods are cut off from the mother. You see where I'm going here? They're all cut off from the mother. So the mother is the black hole or mother star at the center of the core of the galaxy. So I'm going to show you something real quick. Let's read this here. Well, basically, remember I showed y'all with the Dogon tribe, with their creation myth. Their creation myth, it describes how Ogo, basically it said the sun is Ogo's placenta. Now, what he did was he took the placenta and tried to use it to create. This is what the Egyptians meant when they said the deity Seth went to molest his nephew Horus. Okay? This was Saturn going into the protostellar disk of the sun, taking its matter and trying to create planets. Saturn was like a red-brown dwarf star. Okay? It was a red or brown dwarf star. Okay? Saturn was. I don't even believe Saturn is a planet based off how the ancient civilizations and Alelu from the Anunnaki Mesopotamian theology describe Saturn. So let's read this here. This is about the deities who get cut off from the mother, but this is really about Yaldabaoth. Now let's read. I'm going to speed through this. The central event in Gnostic cosmology comes from the Aeon Sophia, a divinity in the pleroma, aka the center of the galaxy. Astronomically speaking, the core of the galaxy. In the scenario of the fallen Sophia, Aeon plunges from the cosmic galaxy and produces a massive perturbation in the realm of elementary matter encircling limbs. So that perturbation was the stuff coming from her as she was falling. The mythological event may be envisioned in a way consistent with the modern cosmological physics. The erratic surge of a plasmatic stream from the galactic core excites the elementary matter in the limbs, producing a spate of inorganic life forms. They are called archons. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all that in a minute because they arrived first. Oh, okay, archon comes from the Greek archive, which means prior to or from the beginning, because they came first. Excuse me. because they arise first before the sun and the planetary systems as a whole. Excuse me. So archons are humanoid creatures of inorganic composition, but alive in their own way. Their first habitat in the region where the galactic limb has been impacted by the shoot of plasma from the core. Astrophysicists now summarize the existence of such shoots by evidence of the thread-like tunnel extending from the core or center bulge into the limb structure. This agitation occurs in the region of Orion. Now, the thing about Orion, we all know Orion represents Orion represents Anu, and it also represents Osiris when his and I quote phallus got cut off. Now, I don't completely believe that happened, but Anu also got his genitalia bit off by Alelu. Okay, if you don't know who Alelu and Anu is, and you listening to this, Alelu and Anu are the gods from the Mesopotamian Anunnaki. Anu is the god who is the progenitor of all these stories about a single God who got commandments, who is the God of the Bible, basically. Okay, so that's where you get these gods from. So basically, that when you look at the constellation Orion, it's shaped like a man, right? Now, when you look at the area, pause. When you look at the area of Orion between his legs, there is a nebula right there. And this nebula is birthing stars. Okay? It's birthing stars. So, the galaxy would represent like Hathor. Orion would represent like Osiris, Enki, Ea. Okay? And so it's like a cosmic, it's like cosmic mating, cosmic birth, cosmic sex. Now, I tried to look into this and see how old the stars are that are surrounding the nebula, and the stars are said to be too young for this part of the story to even be true, but I believe that the stars are older than how the scientists are calculating them. But anyway, we can keep it pushing. The rudimentary forms of these entities can be traced in fractal patterns around the Mandelbrot set. Basically, the archons, the two types of archons are the neonate, which is the embryonic resembling the human fetus. A dracon is the being resembling a reptile or a lizard. So again, the neonate is an embryonic looking humanoid fetus being. A dracon is a reptilian bipedal humanoid lizard reptile. Okay, so the Mandelbrot set. I'm gonna show y'all a Mandelbrot set in a second. Now right here it's then being puffed up with pride, he stretched himself over his highest sphere and proclaimed aloud, I am Father and God. There is none above me. Okay, this is talking about Yaldabaoth, basically the God of the Bible. Now, this is from the Gnostics' point of view again. I am Father and God, and there is none above me. On this, his mother cried out, lie not, Yaldabaoth. Okay, for the Father of all, the first Anthropos man, is above thee. Basically, this is Sophia saying, lie not, Yaldabaoth. Man is above you on a spiritual level. So that means man is above the God of the Bible. The son of Anthropos, okay, is above thee. And so is Anthropos, the son of Anthropos. So that means even apes basically are above Yaldabaoth, or the God of the Bible, whatever. Because he really came out imperfect. Remember that. Just like Sophia said, just like the Dogon said, the Egyptians said he was a hermaphrodite. And he was infertile. So he couldn't have kids. I don't think Enlil was able to have kids. They probably used his cells and put some of his DNA into his bloodline. But we gonna get into that soon. So it say, and Yaldabaoth, to prevent his sons attending to the voice, aka Sophia, because she represents the intuition as well. He wanted his sons to stop attending the voice. It say proposed that they should fashion a man. So the 6 of them made a gigantic man. When they say 6 of them, it's talking about 6 archons basically. 6 of them fashioned a man. So he was gigantic, who lay on the earth and writhed like a worm. The man of the first rounds of races, and they brought him to the father Yaldabaoth, who breathed into him the breath of life, and thus emptied himself into his creative power. So it basically, he gave the men some of his DNA, basically reptilian DNA, and thus, or basically, this is his bloodline who he is able to channel himself through. But hold on. And thus empty himself of his creative power, and Sophia aided the design. So she slipped some of her DNA into it too. This is also what happened with the Anunnaki. The mother is the one who wanted them to create humans. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Zachariah Ascension, just like I showed y'all, Arizona Wilder said Zachariah Ascension is a disinformation artist. He is a liar. This is why so many Sumerian and Mesopotamian researchers, including me, don't agree with this nigga. This is why when I talk about the Anunnaki, if you believe in Zachariah Ascension and you be watching me talk about the Anunnaki and you don't agree with me, that's why. Because Zachariah Ascension is a liar, and he been throwing in his own belief. And he is just a liar. And she said she saw him. He is a reptilian shapeshifter. So he is one of them. He is one of them. So anyway, I'm gonna give y'all a person I would recommend y'all looking to who translate the Anunnaki story better. Is a person named Anton Parks. He basically is a person who I will say he claimed he started one day having visions when looking into this stuff, and he started seeing like scenes basically that happened when the Anunnaki came here, and he be translating and breaking down the etymology of the words in the Sumerian language and the Akkadian and Babylonian languages, and he's showing the beings that came here. It wasn't just no black Anunnaki. There was not just black beings that came down here, my nigga. It wasn't even just human beings that came down here with human faces and human flesh. It was beings with animal heads, birds, lions or felines, reptilians, Rh negative reptilians, aquatic reptilians, other types of humans, non-physical beings. You see where I'm going here? So keeping it pushing. Forward with the man. Wait, where am I? And they brought who breathed the night to him, and thus empty. So it's a like forth with the man having the divine spark, aka a soul, but he does not create the soul. Yaldabaoth cannot create a soul. All right. Aspire to the heavenly man whom it came. Okay. At this, Yaldabaoth grew jealous and generated Eve, Lilith, to deprive Adam of his light powers. Okay. And thus, the sixth stellar impassion of her beauty begot sons through her. Right. So she is what they would call, from Bible myths, the great whore. Basically Mary, basically what's her name? Nephthys in ancient Egypt. She is the goddess Nephthys. She is the planet Venus. She is Ninmah in Mesopotamia. She is Ninhursag. She is the mother goddess. She is the one who came here and spliced humans. She is who the Incans call Origona. She is the mother goddess. She is Eve. Eve is Lilith. Eve is short for evil. I'm about to show y'all right here. I'm gonna pause right here where it say light power. So basically, which I showed y'all this in my Cosmic Intentions of Saturn video. Venus, Hathor, Neharsag is all the same thing. The great bull of heaven. Venus is the bull. It represents like a bull charging at something. This is when Venus hit Earth. Scientists call this planet that hit Earth Thea. Thea is really Venus. Venus is Nibiru when it hit Earth. Okay, I want y'all to know Nibiru is also when they talk about Nibiru, it is composited because Nibiru was not just one planet. Nibiru represented Saturn, it represented Jupiter, it represented Mercury, and it represented Venus. It represented planets that crossed over Earth. Okay, so Nibiru as a planet that had Anunnaki on it was Venus, and they are inside of Venus, and some are in the atmosphere of Venus because that is where phosphorus has been found on Venus. So it has to be life up there because it is not the same, like the phosphorus content in the atmosphere of Venus is not that of the same phosphorus on the surface of Venus, if you get what I'm saying. So it cannot just be coming from like little bacteria or anything. You got to be coming from actual life being living in the atmosphere in cities that are somewhat similar to those on Dragon Ball Z that float in the sky with like Mr. Popo and King Kai or whatever on. You see what I'm saying? So Venus hit Earth. This is basically the story of that God cutting the dragon. Basically, the dragon was Earth when it was Tiamat, when it was a dark star. It cut Earth and separated it from Saturn. So when you look at that picture of Yaldabaoth, the lion-headed serpent, the serpent part of Yaldabaoth represents the Earth. The lion part represents Saturn. So that is when it talk about Marduk cutting her in half. When they talk about the Zeus cutting the deity in half, when they talk about Horus cutting Set eye out, etc., this is talking about Venus hitting Earth and knocking it away from Saturn because Saturn was casting a low vibrational frequency on it, and this is how I proved that Saturn was the star or sun of Earth at first. Now, when you look into Greek mythology, it says that Earth birthed Cronus, which is the god that represents Saturn. If y'all keeping up, if you've been following me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, yeah. So basically, when it's talking about a devil, the image of the devil has been changed so much over centuries that it was first like a woman. Okay, devil, Devil, Evil, Eve, evil. You see where I'm going? Diva, Devi. This all represents a female. All of these represents a female, not a male. You see where I'm going here? This right here is a female devil. Okay, that's why the feminine energy represents the dark side of the yin symbol. This right here is the male devil. This is not necessarily real. Okay, but a person can become a devil. This right here is the androgynous devil or Baphomet, which is not necessarily real. Okay, it represents the feminine energy. Okay, you see right here, Lucifer, it is an allegory of the light that resides in us all. And the fall is simply the fall away from the light. With the advent of most religions, this caused the fall of mankind. Okay? A fall away from the light within us that was then exchanged by force by the false light that was to be found outside of ourselves within a book or a church. Hence, the fall of Lucifer is the fall that each of us takes when we look outside for answers as opposed to looking within for the true light. That which will guide us to the promised land or our own personal heavens. I'm not about to read all of this, but basically what it's about to describe here is Lucifer represents phosphorus. And I just explained to y'all how Lucifer is Osiris, and Osiris is the god of growth, fertility, plant growth, earth. Okay, so when you plant phosphorus, again, if you have ever used phosphorus to plant, you know phosphorus makes plants grow quickly. It make them grow quickly. It make grass grow quickly. You got spots in your grass, you got patches in your grass, get you some phosphorus. You see what I'm saying? So our bodies absorb phosphorus too, and we convert that into energy. Okay, which is what I'm showing y'all down here. So yeah, back to this. Oh yeah, and basically this omega symbol, when Venus hit Earth and knocked it away from Saturn, that represents the umbilical cord. So Sophia came down here, and basically the Nazis describe it as Sophia coming down here and trying to save the solar system from the creation that she made. So basically she was trying to right her wrongs. Okay, when it's talking about that Mandelbrot set, this is the Mandelbrot set right here, which is a computer simulated little thing that you can look at on a computer, which is basically synonymous to the break off from the mother star at the center of the galaxy. So the galaxy is similar to a potter with clay, or a pot with clay. Every civilization, including the Bible, has said God took clay and created men, fashioned men, created humans from clay, different colored clay from the ground, clay from the earth. The galaxy is similar to thread. I just read to y'all how it sends out a type of thread made from matter to create star systems from the core of the galaxy. So it is like a rolled up thread. You see what I'm saying here? And it goes through the the stick thing. The stick thing will represent the Orion star constellation, basically. But yeah, it goes through the arms into the stars, or the dust and gas, and it creates stars. So the galaxy is really androgynous, and Venus represent these two. She also represents Saturn. This is Kaliman, this is Sekhmet, but they are the same. They both have the same story of them being sent by God to destroy a certain group of people, and they became bloodthirsty, and it was hard to control them and stop them from doing too much killing. And eventually they had to the people had to intoxicate them or get them drunk in order for them to fall asleep and stop killing people, because they became bloodthirsty. So it's all the same story. Sekhmet and Kaliman are the same deity. Sekhmet is an ancient Egyptian deity. Kaliman is a Hindu deity. Okay? So basically what I'm showing y'all is Eve equals Isis, which, ignore this daughter mother stuff. Ignore this. Ignore that. Eve equals Isis, okay? Which is mitochondrial Eve. It isn't, now that mitochondrial Eve is not the oldest female. That is not necessarily Isis. That is not Eve. It just represents a female maternal haplogroup. Okay? So that mitochondrial Eve, that is not our oldest ancestor. That is not the oldest female ancestor. That is just the most recent female that looked at like us. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna get into her in another video. Eve and Isis equals Mary, the mother. Isis equals Nephthys in spirit form, which is what they describe over in Sirius. The Dogon describes Sirius as A, B, and C, Sigitolo, Neontolo, Potolo. Okay? Potolo basically got near Sirius A, got near Sirius B. Sirius B erupted and created Sirius C. I'm going to show you all that in a minute. Right here, Nephthys equals Lilith. Nephthys is the Egyptian god who was the wife of Seth, which is Satan. Okay? Neph is Lilith. Okay, and in Mesopotamia, her name is Ninlil. Lil, okay, Lil means air. So Adam's first wife, she was Adam's wife before Eve. Eve equals Lilith. Lilith equals Hathor. Hathor equals the great whore. Her name is Hathor. Hathor is also Ninma, who is Nin her Sag. Hathor equals Ninma equals Ninlil, Ninlil equals Nin her Sag, Nin Hor Sag. So she is the female who they use to keep genetically splicing and mixing DNA with. That is why they call her the whore. She wasn't necessarily having sex with a bunch of men. Okay? But she equals the galactic mother. It's all the same story. Okay? Devi equals a goddess. Okay? Devi equals it's a female. It's a female deity. Feminine deity. It's not a male. It's not some red-haired horn nigga sitting on a throne with fire and a whip or something, or a pitchfork or trident. Devi equals God, equals devil, equals evil, equals Eve. Not really evil, but it's just how they then changed everything and went from maternal worship to paternal worship. But yeah, Virgo equals virgin, moon, mood, mind, emotion. Venus equals love, Lucifer, balance, desire. So this is all like it all tie in together. Venus, that symbol that I just showed y'all, this omega symbol that represents Hathor, this is the umbilical cutter. So this was the cut when this is why Venus was used to split Earth from Saturn. And I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because I'm gonna show y'all. But this is why people use this cliche quote, the devil wears heels, or devil wears Prada, or the devil wears red. It's talking about a female because the devil, or Satan, was technically a female. Okay, but Saturn and Satan comes from the god Set. Not etymologically, but that's who it is. As a being, that's who it is. And Anu. Okay, so when we talking about Yahweh, most of the time, Yahweh is talking about the gods Anu and Enlil. Okay, Anu and Enlil. So Saturn originally comes from Persians. Okay, the word Satan comes from Persians. Sut equals Sud equals Set equals Offset equals Isis. No, Isis is not Seth, but Isis, Seth is the original Eve, evil, Set. You get what I'm trying to say? Like that dark energy. Now, Isis, Set equals the creatrix and queen of heaven, Orion, earth, and the underworld, i.e. Greek goddess Hera, who is the queen of the underworld, the heavens, and earth. Statue of Liberty, protectress of God of women. Protectress of women. Capricorn equals feminine. It also rules Earth. It's also ruled by. Capricorn is an Earth sign and is ruled by Saturn. Okay. Back up here. And the six stellars, and passion of her beauty begot sons through her. Thereupon Sophia sent the serpent intelligence to make Adam and Eve transgress the perception of Ildebar. This serpent is Enki. Now, Enki was on the side of his mother. He was not the son of Anu. I need y'all to understand that. I said this before I found out about Anton Parks. I said it in my Saturn video. I found out about Anton Parks a couple months ago. And he's saying the same thing I said. You see that? So, who in rage cast them down out of paradise into the world together with the serpent, fourth world and fourth race. Okay. The reason he is called Satan, Enki is the one who is called Satan. The reason he is called that is because he went against Anu. Anu is the God of the Bible. In the Bible, the word Satan means enemy or adversary. Anybody who went against God of the Bible is Satan. Satan is an epithet. There were five Satans. If you read the book of Enoch, there were 5 Satans. So when it's talking about Satan, anybody could be a Satan, anybody could be a Lucifer. So Satan and Lucifer are titles. Okay? Right here. As if we regard the above Sophia as the Akdasda, whatever that is, and the below Sophia, aka the Steroma. So this is basically talking about Steroma and Pleroma, the galaxy and Earth. Achamath, as its lower in material planes, we shall be able to understand why Yaldabaoth, the material creator, was identified with Jehovah and Saturn. Okay? And so followed out the following allegory from Irenaeus. Yaldabaoth, the child of the mother Sophia, generates a son of himself without the assistance of any mother. And his son, a son in his turn, and he another, and so until there are 6 sons generated, one from another. Now these immediately commenced to strive with their father for the mastery. He in despair and rage gazed into the purgations of matter below, and through them begot another son, Ophiomorphos. The serpent formed the spirit of all that is basest in matter. Blah blah blah. So basically, what Saturn did was it got into this gas and it started trying to use it to create planets. Okay? Saturn got into the stellar disk of the sun and it tried to use it to create planets. So this is what it's talking about when they talk about Seth tried to molest Horus, and the Dogon talk about Ogo took the placenta of the sun. The sun, the yolk, or that the clear part around the yolk and the egg is similar to the placenta of a human. Okay? So I don't even need to read the rest of that. It's a produce for himself cyclic worlds, orbiting bodies in a luminous spark that shine in the sky. He draws upon the vortex power. Yeah, the central star, the newborn star organized, the swirling matter, planetary disk. Yaldabaoth originates nothing. However, he can copy models of the Pleroma. Okay? And he was amazed by his own arrogance. He seemed to beget material matter out of his own solitary power. And there he came to be a Steroma firmament. Or Archon. The cosmos he produces is described by Coptic term Hal simulation. Okay, there we go. Yaldabaoth projecting his light onto the moon, that projecting onto the earth, which is called the Saturn Moon Matrix, which I talked about on my Saturn Cosmic Intentions video. The simulation coming from that, they call it Hal. That is the simulation we see. That is why we see physical things. That's why things seem solid. But anyway, right here, virtual reality projection is thing. Okay, each star is called a placenta. The Earth's solar system is Ogo's placenta. Now this is Dogon theology right here. All this right here is Gnostic. This is Dogon right here. So Ogo's placenta, the system of Sirius is Nomo's placenta. I'm gonna show y'all in a minute. Nomo's placenta. So Ogo is Seth, Nomo is Enki. Nomo being described as half human, half fish, amphibious creature. The Nomo Sirius system is called the land of the fish. Sirius is called land of the fish. Ogo is the fox who is impure, who represents both people and our solar system's cosmic impurity. Ogo is imperfect. He rebels at creation and is an unfinished being, isolated from the rest of the universe and hoping for redemption. Move down here. It's talking about the placenta, him being cut from the placenta, the cosmic egg. From the womb or placenta is born the child of the universe that rebels, has turned against the plan of creation remains unfinished and isolated until it grows up to learn cosmic connections and oneness. The Nomo is another advanced culture who once helped humans. Okay, anyway, yeah, they once helped humans. These are the extraterrestrials that came down here that Credo Mutua was talking about. Okay, so we can get back into this video right here. Oh, and by the way, Saturn used to represent a female. That's why it's that Cronus. Crone represents an old female, but when you look at the god Cronus, that shouldn't even took that long. That I don't like that. But look at that. When you look at the god Cronus, who is now a male, it's an old man with a long beard. You see what I'm saying? An old man with a long beard. Okay, so a crone is an old woman, an old witch, and it represents that triple goddess. So right here, feminine planets, Venus, Moon, Saturn, masculine, Mars, Sun, Jupiter. Boom. But that's it for that part. Now let's get back to this video.
Than they are in the galactic core. We're going to pause for just a minute and talk a little bit about the archons. I partly love this story because it's one of the only creation myths that actually speaks about the creation of a negative energy.
By the way, when you're talking about negative energy, this deity Yaldabaoth was created before there was like intentional evil. Okay, so this is the embodiment of like chaos, of like since he came out incomplete, it's like it's just basically chaotic, or just it came out chaotic.
Faced with the artificial world system of the archon.
Like basically that's what it represents. So order, if it wasn't messed up, that would mean order. So the opposite of chaos is order, if you get where I'm going here. So he came out disorderly. It came out chaotic. The energy of chaos is the energy of Set, of Satan, of Yaldabaoth. That's where I'm going here.
Sophia slowly transforms from her pleroma form into a dense material body. The intensity of her divine light diminishes, but a celestial light comes to her aid. The cosmologies in the Nag Hammadi text describe a complex set of events in which the Aeon Sophia aligns her power with a newborn star who bears witness to her encounter with Yaldabaoth, the Lord Archon. And this star, called Sabaoth, is our sun.
Sabaoth is not our sun. Sabaoth is Saturn when it was the sun of the earth. When earth got hit, then the sun was created. Okay? When you read about these deities, the other sun came first. So Saturn may be older than the sun. Yeah, Saturn is older than our sun. I repeat, Saturn is older than the sun. Okay? Saturn is older than the sun. In Greek mythology, Cronus came before his brother. He was birthed before his brother. I'm gonna show y'all. Wait, what just happened? But yeah, Saturn was born. But like basically when you talk about Helios and you talk about like Apollo representing the sun, and they keep saying like the sun, the ancient sun, that would be Saturn. Helios is Saturn. Hell is Saturn, not the golden sun. Okay? When they talk about Isis resurrecting Osiris with a golden penis instead of his actual penis. The golden penis, from my perspective, is the sun. When Ea, Earth, got hit or got cut up by Saturn, Seth into 12 pieces, that represent Earth being hit and split up into the Kuiper belts and the smaller planet. And basically I'm gonna show y'all how this gold penis or golden phallus sun symbol thing basically is.
The sun glorifies Sophia, and Sophia in return pours upon the sun a light of her own divine light to assist his
No homo.
recognition and his condemnation of the Lord Archon. Sophia, in order to redeem her action that created the Archons, determines to become the earth. Sophia does not create the earth, she becomes it. Loaded with inorganic sediment from the galactic limbs.
She didn't create the earth, she became the earth. So part of her still exists at the core of the galaxy.
Her massive currents of cosmic light convert into the elements of a planet. Her cosmic galactic fire becomes the heat of the fires that warm the condition for life, which eventually is designed to include a home for the golden seed of Anthropos, the golden child. The elements become expressions of her body and of her being. And we imitate her in our own physical bodies, the ways that we experience the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, because we are also made from the same substance. Sophia is transforming from a pleroma emanation in the fire of the galactic core to the fire and the air of the elements in a different density of the creation. It's all an experiment for her. The winds of creation are exploring this expression of life in this density of existence. It's a dance, a play.
Okay, I don't need to keep showing that. We moving down here. I'm about to show y'all this. Hold up. Let me read this. Okay, so the Gaia mythos describes how the Aeon Sophia is stunned by the spontaneous generation of these entities. For this event was not foreseen in her dreaming for or of a system or world out there beyond the pleroma. The archons arise from the impact of a deific force field that automatically configures the chaos of the raw elements, the Dema. Rather, in the way a sound current figures fine on a flat surface, the Chaltney or Chaltney form, or a magnet figures iron filing into a graceful rosette. This pattern from the dynamic is the autoposis of the God. Oh yeah, these Gnostic words, by the way, these are Gnostic words. Great living currents that surge through the dream time. The archons emerge first on the neon. Basically, what it's describing is it used sound to create. I'm about to show you what it looked like. I found this channel. I don't remember how I found this channel, but it's showing animations of what things looked like when it took place in the metaphysical realm. Okay, so it's all, when you look at these videos on this channel, it's not about what you believe in, what your standpoint is, what religion you believe in. It's all about interpretation when you watch this person's videos. Okay, it's called Transfiguration. This video is called the Great and the Small. Okay, the Small and the Great. Now remember, look at this coil. We all know everything got this coil. This coil is the golden ratio, which is 1.618. So plants and humans and many other things make this when they come into existence or when they are born. They are coiled up just like this. Your hair is coiled up like this with the same ratio, 1.618. It is called the golden ratio or Fibonacci sequence. Okay? So when you look at the shell of this kraken or this mollusk, whatever, it is in that same shape. And Yaldabaoth is sometimes represented by a kraken. So let's get into this. Now, just like that lady described with that story with Sophia and the flower of life right here. And basically what it's showing you is like a building of the matrix, or like basically the how you would see it if you were taking shrooms or ayahuasca basically. And basically when it was being created. So this is going to show you like what they are calling sacred geometry. This is before things became physical. You hear that? You hear that? That little voice in the back? That is Yaldabaoth. Or it don't gotta necessarily represent Yaldabaoth, but this is the same thing Yaldabaoth doing. I'm just using this to as a representation of what Yaldabaoth did. Right here. So look at this right here, right? Look at this. You see the golden ratio, right? Like the crack and shell, right? Now, this is the Chaldney. This is the Chaldney forms. It's basically cymatics patterns. This is what he was doing when he was taking matter and he was trying to create out of the matter that's already there. So he's not creating because what's already been created is what he's using to end our quote create. You get what I'm saying? He's taking matter and making things solid. So the elements that he's using those to create. He's not creating, like he's using it to build. He's using matter to build. Matter is what creation basically is. You use matter to create. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to try to repeat that again. He can't create anything original, so he has to use matter to build things that look original. So this is why we think that reality is what we see. We think everything that we see that is physical is real, but really it's made out of tiny little light particles. So none of this stuff here is created. It's just built. It just took elements and built things with them. The elements are already here. They've been here. They've been created. We didn't create them. They've been here. Or we may have created some when we came in metaphysical bodies, like non-physical bodies. But I'm saying, as far as like the elements and everything that's here that looks solid and whatnot, nothing is solid. It's all made out of little light particles, unless we're talking about crystals. Okay? Though these elements, they've been here. Okay? Matter, been there. It's not created. It was already created. Okay? You don't create matter. You use matter to create. If you get where I'm going here. So that's basically what Saturn did when it took the dust and gas from the protostellar disk of the sun and it used it to create. It didn't have its own protostellar disk to create from, so it came into the sun's protostellar disk and tried to create planets. Okay? I'll show this again. You see that? It looked like a kraken. It looked like a kraken. You see it? It looked like a kraken with the tentacles coming out the shell. See? And then the planets became solid. So, hold up. Let me get this off of here. Get this off of here. Alright. I want y'all to know, Yaldabaoth is a plasmic being. I showed this already. It used, like, basically is manipulating the light codes coming from the center of the galaxy that comes to humans. So when it's projecting its light onto the moon and onto the planet, when you look into astrology, Saturn represents boundaries. It represents bounding something. So Saturn got a ring on it. Saturn is the Lord of the Rings. When you get married, you put a ring on a person's finger and they are bound to you unless you go to court and you legally get a divorce, which then the Bible says is a sin. So the Bible, in that, God is trying to bound you to the person that you get a divorce to, and if you don't stay with that person, you are sinning. You get what I'm saying? So that marriage stuff with the ring, that's all Saturnian worship. You can't bound anything to nothing. If you get what you can't be bound to nobody. You're not bound to nobody. I mean, you can be binded like y'all, like in a sense like y'all sexual energies bind together, but when we talking about in a sense like, okay, you're mine, you are my possession, it can't be that, because that's getting into the ego, which has to do with control. Okay? And so that's what Saturn is. It's trying to control. It's sending low vibrational frequencies onto the earth. Okay? And so this is why Crocker, when that episode of Fairly Odd Parents and they went into the computer, Crocker, he got gray skin and he got these little beings. Yaldabaoth, or Yahweh, is known to have been able to clone himself and whatnot. So it could split himself up or send archons who actually descend from him. Crocker means potter. Okay? Yaldabaoth was the one creating from the matter of the mother. Okay, Yaldabaoth is the one who was creating from the matter of the mother. Mater, mother, mom, mama, Amma, mother goddess. You see where I'm going here? So Yaldabaoth is a plasmic being who can travel through the ley lines. Remember I said Native Americans and other tribes like shamans and etc. are able to communicate with beings, entities through the ley lines. You can channel positive or negative or neutral energy through the ley lines of the earth. But the ley lines is like the meridians of a human's body. Okay, if you don't know what meridians is, look up human body meridians. This also got to do with this also is linked to acupuncture. But yeah, you can massage these spots where the points of your meridians are if you got like pain or whatnot in these areas. But anyway, the discovery was made by Cleo Loy, a student at the Arc Center of Excellence for All Sky Astrophysics in the School of Physics at the University of Sydney. Spontaneous plasma tubes, Yaldabaoth. Oh yeah, she found spontaneous plasma tubes. So this was a depiction of what they look like going through the ley lines. So spontaneous plasma tubes, Yaldabaoth has been able to sieve his energy through Earth's ley lines. Yaldabaoth can also inhabit technology, which is why he is a plasma AI entity. So artificial. He was created without a partner. Like Sophia created him, tried to create him asexually, so without her partner, and he came out incomplete. And this why he act the way. This why this deity act the way it act. This is the God of the Bible. Okay, it is the greatest trickster God. Okay, it got many names, and it is all these gods and all these civilizations. That's why it got many names. That's why these people in these religions be talking about, oh, God has many names, or Satan got many names. It's because they the same deity. But yeah, this right here, basically this thing right here, this the head part, the lion represents Saturn. This part, the snake part, represent Earth, which is Tiamat. This is the real, this is what the God of the Bible looks like right here. This is Anu. Okay, this is an Usumgal. Is spelled Usumgal. Okay, this is how Anton Parks and the Anunnaki or the Sumerians describe these beings. They were either lion-headed dragons or horned dragons, etc. This is what Anu is described as looking like. Even by remote viewing, you can go look into the Orion project with this person who remote views. But it's something about that channel on YouTube. I think the person who, it's a man who be on there with her when she be channeling. And he be talking to her like he crazy. And I don't know why the channel called project, but I think it is some type of project to see how well that person can remote view. And with him talking to her like he crazy, I think he is her handler, and she be talking like she's scared or something in her videos. But I don't know. I'm not trying to make it more than what it is, but I think that's what it is. But anyway, yeah. Anu created these greys, these neonates, and these dracons, which are gargoyles. The Mesopotamians called them the Musgir, which is Musgir. The Mesopotamians called the greys the Minminu. That's Minu. Okay, so these were created by Anu, the ones that become in the earthwork. Not all of them have like the same DNA, so that's why they all don't look the same. Basically, this gargoyle is the same as this, which has bird DNA. These alpha draconians have bird DNA. I want y'all to know that. So when I was talking about avians in my Zoology series, like the bird beings, they basically created reptiles. Bird beings called avians or carrions, or what the Sumerians called the Sukkal, Sukkal. These beings created beings that lay eggs. That's why scientists say dinosaurs evolved into birds now. That's why there are some birds with slits in their eyes. But yeah, Bats also are related to birds. They're distant cousins, but they are related to avians. Avians are birds, or avs are birds. Avians are the ET version of them that can stand up bipedal, basically. So they mix the avians, or the bird people, mix their DNA with reptiles, and it create this nigga, this Anu, god of the Bible, Yaldabaoth dude. So this is his real, the way he look. Basically, when you look into Egypt and Greece, it say he was raping his mother. Okay? It says Geb was raping Nut. Also, Zeus, the god Zeus, was a rapist. Okay? There's many stories about him doing it. Okay? I know that R word strong. I don't care what YouTube got going on. If they feel some way about it, hey, I'm using the word for educational purposes. But anyway, yeah, this is the god of the Bible. It's a dragon that stand up bipedal. It's an alpha draconian. They call it Usungu. Some people call it a Ciakar, Ciakar. It was said to be 7 of them. I don't know about that, but he was said to be the 7th one created. So yeah, this is the god of the Bible. This is Anu, a winged dragon with horns, who has draconian DNA, probably got cat DNA or feline, and what else? Dragon, lion, and he got bird DNA, so that's why it got wings. Okay, so Anu's mother, which is Enki's mother, is a bird person. She got wings. This is why Inanna has wings, just like what is this name? Pazazu. This dude right here is Pazazu. So this is why he looked like a demon with wings. This with bird wings. Or he looked like a bird demon. Okay? So he is mixed with reptile. This is Pazazu. He is a gargoyle. Okay? So this is what the Gnostics call a neonate. This is what the Gnostics call a Draco. And this is the one who created both of them. Alright. What else we got? Make sure we ain't skipping over nothing. Is this it? Okay, so right here, basically what I'm showing y'all is, okay, we don't necessarily orbit around the sun. We orbit around a barycenter that is under the sun. Some planets share a barycenter with another planet while orbiting the sun, just like Saturn and Jupiter. So Saturn and Jupiter share a barycenter. So they orbit each other while orbiting the sun. Saturn and Jupiter represent the Father and the Son, aka Cronus and Zeus, aka God and Jesus, aka Set and Amun. Okay, so they remember Jupiter had to battle Saturn. Jupiter is how it's basically, the way I see it, it swung and hit Earth. And that is why it swung and hit Earth with Venus. So Venus may have been in Jupiter's orbit, and this is why Jupiter represents Marduk, and Marduk was also said to rule Nibiru, which is Venus. So Jupiter may have grabbed or had Venus in his orbit, and it hit Earth. Okay? And then this is why Earth is where it is now, because it was closer. Earth was closer to Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so this is why Jupiter and Saturn is orbiting the sun together while orbiting each other. If you get where I'm going here. So these little areas underneath the planets that's causing them to orbit each other are called barycenters. And then it's a barycenter underneath the sun. So it's like that, but it's like it's rotating. So it's keeping things rotating. You see where I'm going here? So this Jupiter Saturn symbol right here is the same as this communism symbol or whatever, this Russian symbol, Soviet symbol, the sickle and the hammer. The sickle is Cronus's weapon. The hammer is Zeus's weapon. Or Thor when he is Thor, his Thor version. When he is Zeus, it's a lightning bolt. So planets do not directly orbit sun. Sun and planets orbit a central barycenter, magnetic, while orbiting Alcyon's barycenter, while Alcyon orbits the galactic center. Okay, so look at this. Our sun is our solar system has a helical orbit. So we are moving. We are not sitting in a spot just orbiting around the sun. The sun is moving also. Okay, the sun is rotating around Sirius. So Sirius and our sun is orbiting each other. We live in a it might be more than two, but we live in a binary solar system. So Sirius is the second sun, or the other sun. Sirius C, right here. Neon Tolo, or Xylanthia, excuse me. Xylanthia is Sirius C. This happened because Sirius A touched Sirius B, and it caused the supernova. This is why Sirius B is said to be invisible to the naked eye, and is said to be very dense and one of the densest objects in the universe. The universe, literally, is one of the most densest objects in the universe. Sirius B. And it caused the supernova, and it created Sirius C. Sirius C represents Anubis. So this is the story of Osiris, which is Sirius A, coming over to it hit Sirius B, which is Nephthys. This is the story of Nephthys tricking Osiris into thinking that she is Isis, and them having an affair and birthing Anubis, who was really supposed to be Seth's son, but instead he was Osiris' son, who Osiris had with Nephthys, and Seth fathered Anubis, basically. So I guess she did that because Seth can't have kids. I don't know, but Sirius B represents Nephthys, aka Lilith. So basically what happens is Venus, aka Nibiru, used to orbit around Sirius C. So Venus, this is why Venus is the only planet in the solar system with a clockwise orbit. Venus is not uninhabitable. This is why nobody be talking a lot about extraterrestrials on Venus, because that is Nibiru. They ain't want you to know that. Nebharu is Venus. Xylanthia is Venus. Quetzalcoatl, Venus. Right here. We orbit, our sun and Sirius are orbiting each other while orbiting around Alcyon. So we are a part of Sirius, and Sirius and our solar system are a part of Pleiades. Okay, so we all technically are related to Pleiadians, and this is why Pleiadians are said to come here a lot and use human genetics on Earth to mix with. So yeah, again, we and Sirius orbit each other while orbiting around Alcyon, which is the greatest star, or the greater star, the central star of Pleiades, while orbiting the galaxy, the center of the galaxy, the mother star. So we are part of the Pleiades, which is a part of Orion. Sirius is a part of Orion. So if that's the case, we have to be a part of Sirius also. And so basically, like I said, I think that was in my previous video, all the star systems surrounding Orion are a part of Orion. Right here. You see, and right there, right in this area, right here, where the top arrow on my cursor is pointing, that's where the nebula is, where stars are being birthed. This is the lower abdomen area between the legs of Orion. You see what I'm saying? Sirius right here. We orbiting Sirius while orbiting around Alcyon, which is near. The orbit would come near. I guess it would come near Orion, or be near Orion while orbiting. But so this is what it looked like with Saturn casting its light onto the Earth and using the moon. Basically is casting its light on the moon onto the Earth. Okay, it's sending messed up vibrations onto the Earth. Hold up. But yeah, if you want to know more about this, it's called the Saturn Moon Matrix. You can go check this out in my Cosmic Intentions video about the birth of Saturn. Push, keeping it pushing. Right here. Hold on, let me make sure I ain't forgetting nothing. Alright. Hold up. Alright. So this right here is what scientists said our solar system looked like while it's moving. So this looks just like a fetus. Okay? Now scientists for some reason are saying it looked like a croissant or a shrimp. But it really looks like a fetus. Okay? A lot of animals and human fetus look the same because we're all related. We are amniotes, which all descend from a reptilian ancestor. Okay? And this being right here, this form of us, when we are like this, we are androgynous. We have no sex, we have no reproductive organs. So if an extraterrestrial wanted to genetically splice a human, they could let's say put their let's say they put their sperm in you or in a female, get the baby up into this stage and then incubate it into an egg sac or an artificial womb, and then grow it into something else. Or you could inject, or they can inject it while it's inside the artificial womb with other DNA, and as it's growing, it take a different shape. But if it's pulled out while it's like this, it's just gonna grow up and become a bigger fetus-like being, which is gonna probably look like the great alien that I just showed y'all, which is called a neonate, which is called an embryonic fetus-looking human. So you get where I'm going here? That is one of the ways the Anunnaki spliced humans, was they was using fetuses and embryos that weren't fully grown, and they would put them into artificial wombs and fertilize them with their sperms. So scientists' depiction of solar system and this magnetic field moving through space, not a shrimp or croissant, but an amphibious, reptilian, or amniote. Okay, now this looks like thread that is moving on, but this is the magnetic field. The magnetic field is the energy of Neith, which I already showed y'all on that electric God is Electric website, like I've been showing y'all in my Cosmic Intentions videos. So this is Nephthys. She represents a supporter and a distributor of electromagnetic charge. So this is her, and she is represented by the spider, as it's saying it right here, the spinner, weaver, spider. So this is why the magnetic field looks like this when the earth is moving. It looks like a spider. So this represents magnetism. It represents the magnetic field around the earth that's protecting it from certain radiation, especially like the one coming from the sun. You see what I'm saying? Like radiation has to be filtered before it fully hits the surface. So it goes through the magnetic field. And then, yeah, so even that is technically like Lucifer. So even right here, this is a toroid. Toroids, your cells look like a toroid. I mean, your cells don't really look like this. It look more like electric light. But toroids are everywhere. Now, we about to get into this right here. If you want to know more about, like, why did I put this here again? Changes here. This is for if you wanted to know more about like the symbology and whatnot of this, but also about like the light spectrum and how the sun is casting light onto the planets, and how if you lived on different planets, you would be experiencing and seeing different realms of light, different colors that other planets can't see, and we will all have different perspectives. And since we all live here, it is just because we all live here don't mean we having the same experience, and we all see different things. And if two people are standing in the same spot and a UFO came, you could see it, and it's possible that you could see it and your friend can't see it, and vice versa. So you get what I'm saying? That type of stuff is possible for you to see something and your friend right next to you not to see it. But yeah, it's all about perception, and it's about the light spectrum. If you want to know more about that, you can go check out my video, Cosmic Contentions, episode 1. Changes here. But yeah, we about to get into this. So right here, hold up, make sure. Right here. Now this is the next video I'm about to use as the basis. Okay.
Inner sun. There is a
If basically what this is talking about is the inside of the earth and the stars and our perception of what we see up there in the sky, and this basically is not necessarily what we think it is. Okay, it ties into what I was saying in my episode 1 of Cosmic Contention, and it ties into everything I've been saying about the inner earth.
little, a small sun at the center of the earth, and it is not visible, but has been tested and checked through seismic propagation waves, through seismic.
So there's an inner sun in the earth that is not necessarily visible to the eye, but it has been detected by seismic radiation or whatever she talk about.
And through seismic waves,
This is why I was saying we are all being pulled towards the center of the earth. The center of the earth's sun is orgone energy. This is orgone energy, and this is where the sun is birthed from. Basically what I'm saying is the sun is birthed from the earth. I said it. The sun is birthed from the earth. The sun is the mother. The sun is the sun. Period. You get positive eons from the sun. You get negative eons from the earth. The sun shoot. What's it called? The sun shoot radiation down here every 8 minutes. If you ain't getting positive eons from the sun, you only get negative. If you ain't getting negative or positive, you ain't getting nothing. You can possibly get anxiety and depression. Because you away, basically, it's like you being away from home. You out of nature. You supposed to be in nature or outside at least. Now you get the negative eons from grounding yourself, being outside barefoot or walking outside in the grass with your socks on. You can get you copper socks too. But what I'm saying is you get negative eons from the earth and you get positive eons from the sun. So I mean, there's a polarity going on there for a reason.
They have recognized since the 1936. Mm-hmm. They recognize that the Earth has a crystalline core, and that is solid. And its solidity is in contrast with the huge pressure that should be there if all the physics were right.
So you say the core of the heart isn't iron and nickel and everything is different from what we are teaching?
Absolutely, because at the end of the last century, they discovered that the crystalline core is rotating faster than the Earth's surface where we are. Mm-hmm. So it is independent from the higher shells. And also they discovered that the core is made of 3 spheres, each inside one another, and the crystalline core has the same radius as Mercury, the planet Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? You know why? Iron makes up about 70% of Mercury's total weight, making Mercury the most iron-rich planet in the solar system. If you go look at Egypt, iron is called the bones of Seth. Iron represents Mars. If you go look at the GodKingScenario.com, I think that's what it's called. If that's not necessarily what it's called, just type in God King Scenario on Bibliotheca Pleiades. Excuse me. Type in God King Scenario on DuckDuckGo. My bad. And it talks about on that website how when Venus came over here, when it hit Earth, when it hit Mars, it created the Valles Marineris. It's a scar on Mars. Now, when it grazed Mars and made this scar on Mars, it pulled the core out of Mars, and this core was Mercury. You see where I'm going here? Mercury was the core of Mars. This is why Mercury represents the throat chakra, and it represents Thoth, the god of speaking and knowledge in writing. And this is why I was under the impression that he represents a spirit that inhabits bodies. And he does do that, by the way. He does take different bodies. He does take different avatars. I already proved this. So, yeah, also Thoth represents the baboon on Lion King. So anyway, yeah, keeping it pushing. Mercury is basically a ball of iron.
Whereas the outer liquid core is the same radius as Mars. Mm-hmm. And this core is independent from the above mantle, the Earth's mantle, that has the same radius as Venus. That is just a little bit smaller than the Earth's radius. The Earth's radius is what we actually know is just the Earth's crust, the Earth's biosphere. It's like
that's what we standing on right now.
30.
Now I'm gonna show y'all what this sun is at the center of the Earth. Okay. This is basically what the sun at the center of the Earth is synonymous to, and this is what the black sun symbol represents. Okay, this is why it's important to the Nazis. This is why the swastika is important to the Nazis. I told y'all the swastika represents the Great Dipper when all four of them are making a vortex in the sky over the North Pole, and the swastika also represents the galaxy. So it represents the galaxy. The black sun represents the black sun at the core of Earth, which is Oregon energy. Okay, which is the Oregon energy at the center of the Earth, which is vibrating, basically supposed to be vibrating at the same frequency as your heart, which warms up the Earth, which is why your heart warms up your body, and when you get cold, all your blood go back to the center of your body, the core of your body. It's synonymous to that. The 0 point, chi, prima materia, prana, ether, orgone, electromagneto-etheric energy source. Earth's core is an electromagneto-etheric energy source. Okay. Source. Okay, now orgone energy is invisible. It is everywhere and can be drawn from empty space. It is androgynous. It is androgynous and can be transmuted to dead orgone energy, DOR, pure orgone energy, POR, or just orgone energy, OR. Okay? So it is synonymous to a plasma ball. Okay, this is why the Nazis were so fixated on something called vril, VRIL, or VRILL. That's basically the chi of the Earth, orgone energy, which they were trying to get to. Okay, so when they talk about like crystals and stuff like that, you got crystals on your organs, like your pineal gland, which second harmonic generation measures show that pineal gland tissues contain non-centrosymmetric crystals, thus proving the presence of piezoelectricity, both Marbury-like and faceted crystallized crystalline calcification were observed by scanning electronic microscopy. A new form of biomineralization has been studied in the pineal gland of the human brain. It consists of small crystals that are less than 20 micron in length and that are completely distinct from the often observed Mulberry type hydroxyapatite concretion. Concretion. So basically, yeah, you got crystals in your endocrine system, on your organs where your chakras are, etc.
Kilometers of depth, and no scientist, just Russian scientists were able to dig up to 12 kilometers, and they found that the temperature completely different from any geophysical models. So we don't actually know what is the Earth's interior. We just know a few kilometers. And also we don't know above in the atmosphere because we are surrounded.
I just want to point out that Dagmar, the lady on the right, she looked like Laura Eisenhower. I just want to point that out.
By what they call the Van Allen belts that don't allow us to see what is beyond or what they hide actually.
The Van Allen belt does not allow us to see beyond what they hide. Basically, the magnetic field, because it has light being casted upon it, like a plasma screen, showing you, is projecting images. Like the planets, they not necessarily project the images. The images come from you and how you are perceiving things. You get what I'm saying? Based off of the light that's being projected on the planet.
So we are in a fruit. We are just in the, how do you call the
core of the fruit?
No, the core, just the
heart?
Not the heart. What we
okay. Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what is inside and what is outside. So, what is, however, very important is that
what she is describing is this right here. Yaldabaoth is the chief archon and created all the others. According to the Apocryphon of John, there are 12 archons in their aeons comprising the lower world. 7 heavenly archons are associated with the 7 planets, planetary heavens. See, planetary heaven. 5 archons of the abyss are associated with the 5 sublunary realms created by earth, water, air, and fire intermixed in the ether. So that is these right here. Okay, the lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere. Okay, then you got the spheres, aka the planets that orbit around the earth, which is similar to how the Muslims describe their cosmology. So what I'm showing you is the planets were created by earth. The sun is connected to the earth, and I'm not the only one. Listen, when Saturn got cut away from the earth and the earth became solid, the earth had to find some way to sustain itself and sustain life. So with the orgone energy on the inside, it created the sun. And that is why it has this umbilical cord. That is why it's called the sun. Mother Earth and the sun is connected through this umbilical cord. which you can't see with your physical eyes, but these are barycenters. Okay, so this is the umbilical cord, this is the sun, this Earth. Right here, where the top arrow on my cursor is pointing, this is Tiamat. Okay, these are the planets orbiting Tiamat. This big old star that's bigger than Tiamat, that's Tiamat's energy. That is the sun. The sun is really a golden ball of light. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a ball. I'm not going to say it's flat. But it's light, it's energy, it's orgone energy. But the way we receive it from the outside, it comes as positive energy. But the sun still represents 10, which is why it was also called A10 in Egypt by Akhenaten. The number 10 is 1 and O. The 1 represents the phallus. The 0 represents the vagina. Okay, so it is androgynous. So Tiamat birthed the sun, but the sun is the sustainer of life through the mother. Okay, so this is also Lucifer. Okay, if you want to be technical, this is a new lion head connected to a serpent, which is the mother. So you see where I'm going here? This does not mean geocentric solar system, because the sun is still there. The sun is connected to the earth still. The sun was birthed when Tiamat got turned into earth. Okay, the sun got birthed after Tiamat was turned into earth. The earth had to sustain life, so it created the sun. And so the sun is connected to the earth, and this is why you get positive eons from the sun, negative eons from the earth. Okay, boom. Earth also got multiple moons. This is the alignment of that scientists say the planets are in. But right here, this is where Earth is now. This area right here, where this is the asteroid belt that you see. These little rocks. This is part of Earth. When they got hit, the remaining pieces of the Earth turned into the Kuiper belt or asteroid belt that orbits the sun. These little rocks are parts of Earth before it got hit, or when it got hit. So this is the area that Earth used to be in. So that means it was closer to Saturn and Jupiter. But Jupiter used Venus to hit. It used Venus to hit Earth away from Saturn, because Saturn was doing what it was doing. Venus used to orbit Sirius C, and this is Venus right here, where my top arrow is pointing on my cursor. Xylanthia is Venus. So basically, yeah. So this links to why Venus is also called Earth's twin. So yeah, we gonna get back into this. What is that? A new study has revealed the atmosphere extends far beyond the moon. Data from the ESA and NASA Solar Heliospheric Observatory, aka SOHO, shows that the layer of gases surrounding our planet stretches around 630 kilometers, which is about twice the distance from the moon. So the moon is part of the Earth's solar system. The moon was created out of matter from Venus and Earth. So that's why they be saying the moon's basically parts of the moon is similar to that of Earth. It's because it's made from Earth and Venus when Venus hit Earth. The matter from Earth and Venus had to orbit around Earth like it was a protoplanetary disk, and it created the moon. You see where I'm going here? And so Mercury is a moon, and this is why half of Mercury is only lit. No matter what, it orbits around the sun without part of it being lit. So part of Mercury is dark, and this is why Thoth represents the moon sometimes, and he got a crescent moon. That crescent moon, bro. What is this? Hold up. This is off my screen. I don't even use that stuff, so I just haven't deleted it. But anyway, Mercury is a planet much like the moon. It has no atmosphere and its surface is covered with circular impact craters and huge round basins. Most of Mercury looks much like the lunar highlands. Apparently, it was subject to the same bombardment that shaped the moon in primordial times. So this is a moon, only slightly larger than the moon. Also, Mercury reflects less than 10% of the light that hits it. Scientists use the word albedo to describe how much light the surface will reflect. And remember, ALB means white, or just like albino. Okay? So, yeah, it's basically describing Mercury as a moon. Mercury is a moon and possibly was the moon of Venus. Okay, this is why Hathor and Thoth are associated. Because Thoth is the Mercury, which is why he has a moon symbol, because he is not this moon right here that orbits the Earth. And he is also associated with Hathor, who is Venus. So back to this video.
What is outside, that is the Earth's magnetosphere, this, what we call this space, actually depend on the core. This is absolutely recognized. The Earth's magnetosphere is created by the crystalline core.
Okay, so if I understand correct, you say that we are like in this magnetosphere, and the magnetosphere is shaped and controlled or regulated, created by this crystalline inner core.
Yes, this is what scientists say, and this is why they believe that the crystalline core is made of iron, because they think that iron is a metal and creates magnetic field.
And why is it important to know that it is different? What is the importance? You said the magnetosphere hides something from us.
Well, yes, because the magnetosphere is not just, it's made of plasma. And plasma is very, very dense and is confined like the belt, like a belt. It might behave like a mirror. Mm-hmm. So we don't see behind the mirror. We just see what the mirrors show us, and it's not only one mirror, but the magnetosphere. If you study it carefully, you see that there are a lot of mirrors that the ancient astronomers called the crystalline spheres. Mm-hmm. Ptolemaic and not Copernican astronomer, and they all said that these crystalline spheres.
These are the crystalline spheres she's talking about. Okay, these are the crystalline spheres. They go the elements of the Earth, the different environments on the Earth, the planets around the Earth, etc. This is not new.
Were like mirrors. Now, astronomers, Copernican and modern contemporary astronomers, don't see through the telescopes from the Earth, but they can see if we go outside with the probe.
It's true they cannot see that much when they be calculating how much the stars are and how far away they are and how old they are. They do not even be accurate. They technology not accurate. I didn't look this up myself after I watched this video.
With the special probe, and we see that they are crystal, but they are not minerals. They are liquid crystal, confined by the magnetic field.
So if we look into space, in reality, actually, we are looking into mirrors.
to many different mirrors.
And what do these mirrors show us? Ourselves and the Earth. And you told us that Venus and Mars and Mercury are in the size of the Earth.
Exactly.
So if we look in space, what do we see if we think we see Mercury?
We could see what scientifically is called a diffraction. All the planets are actually inside each other, but what we see is a dispersion of them. They seem far away from each other, like the rainbow. When we see a white light that passes through a crystal, we see the red, the blue, all the colors that are spaced as.
This is what she talk about. When we look up there, we not necessarily seeing what we think we see. So this tie into the two slit experiment when I talked about you focusing on the light and you seeing what you think you see. Look, this was from a person filming serious moving, and whenever it was moving, it was changing colors. Okay? This is called bokeh. This is what things look like on the camera when it's not focused in on it, right? This is what lights look like when you're not focused on it, right? It looks like a bokeh, which is the visual quality of the out of focus areas of a photograph image, especially rendered by a particular lens. This has to do with light particles, which the ancients already knew about, which is also called Metatron's cube. This is the cube that has our light in it. This is what pixels are based off of. These are the little stardust scientists talk about that we are made out of. Okay, our light is inside of these. Okay, when you become less dense, your light comes out of these. Atoms are not really solid spheres. They are fuzzy quantum probability clouds filled with electrons. So they look fuzzy, okay? But when you focus on it, it takes shape, just like the two slit experiment, okay? Look at this. This is what people seen when they were looking at planets with different type of scopes, instead of us taking like the images and whatnot that like NASA show us and things like that. It's called sonoluminescence. Hold up. So when they go look at these stars and planets from a star, this is how they look. They don't look like big solid balls that's been drawn or made with like CGI or a 3D art screen or something. It looked like light orbs that's changing shape at a fast pace, like them little lights that was coming off of Sophia as she was descending with the little geometric symbols. You can't much see it right here because it's all focused in and it might be a little blurry, but you can see like the little geometrical shapes and little spikes coming off of it, or some of them. See, if you look at it right, it looks like a bouquet. These are planets and stars. It's more pictures, videos on YouTube like this showing the planets, but this is what they look like when you look at them up close. Now they got videos on here where they showing like Mars and Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn and stuff like that, and they look just like this. It's no different. So you see where I'm going here. When you looking up there with like a telescope, because a telescope is like a more bigger eyeball, because your eyes work just like a telescope, a lens, or a camera, or the camera works just like your eye. I mean, because we the real technology. Okay, this is what the stars are taking shape like. Okay, these are the shapes that they are taking form of. You can go look at it because it looked a little blurry when I was showing it, but this is what they look like. Okay, they look like these, you know, these polyhedral shapes. Okay, mainly this right here. They mainly look like this. This. You see where I'm going? So they basically look like kaleidoscope patterns. You can see these like patterns inside of these. So the very center underneath the planet may be sending sounds into like matter and creating a image of a planet. Now this don't mean the planet can't be landed on just because it looked like light from the lens. Is just about that two-slit experiment. When you focus on things and they take shape. You get what I'm saying? So when you focus on it, it takes shape. When you not focus on it, this is why things in your peripheral vision, it look like it hasn't taken shape until you focus on it. So it's the same science as your eyes. So let's look at this. I already talked about this, and we're gonna look at how kaleidoscopes work first.
60 degrees gives you a nice six-fold symmetry around the pattern.
Now this is how it's getting all these sides to the getting the geometrical shape. Okay, so remember the barycenter is like a vortexing center underneath a planet or a planetary object, a star, whatever, and it's keeping it rotating, and then that rotates around the barycenter of the central star. So let's say Venus with a barycenter underneath it rotating around the barycenter of the sun. It's not rotating around the sun, but the barycenter of the sun. The barycenters may be giving out sound to create the image of a planet. So barycenters may be like the mouth of Yaldabaoth or something. I'm just taking a guess with that one. But I think that they are like cymatics. I think barycenters are like cymatic machines. You get where I'm going here?
Going to 90 degrees gives you a nice four-fold symmetry. What he noticed was that
if you ever had one of them little Disney camera things where it got the glitter in it and you can flick it and change the pictures on the inside, those little kaleidoscope cameras, that's basically what you're seeing when you look up there.
when the angle is an even
seeing right here
of the circle, you get the best patterns because you get a closed figure around the circle. So this allows you to play with the angle and play with the geometry and see different patterns being created. So what I have here are a series of homemade kaleidoscopes. These are made by purchasing strips of mirrors from your local glass shop and then putting them together using duct tape. So here, for example, is a 60-degree angle kaleidoscope, your standard triangular kaleidoscope like you might find in any novelty shop. And this gives you six-fold symmetry in the image. If you look at this now, this is a square kaleidoscope. If you look through a square kaleidoscope, you see 90-degree or four-fold symmetry in the image. You can make these very simply by purchasing mirrors, polishing the edges so that they're not particularly sharp, and then wrapping them with duct tape to make a fairly stiff kaleidoscope. Typically, you'd like to use these with first surface mirrors, but you can't often find them at most mirror shops. So in this case, this is a standard. So about 200 years ago, David Brewster invented the kaleidoscope. He was playing with some mirrors and looked.
Light at the bottom, mirrors surrounding the light at the bottom. It's showing the image here. Just like if you had like a hologram device, it would be the image would be floating over the bottom panel or the bottom. You get what I'm saying? Like if you had a device in your hand and it projected the light upwards, the image coming from the light would be floating above the object in your hand. So I think that's how we are seeing. I think that's how the light of the planets are being shown over the barycenter.
Looking at the polarization effect. And while he was doing that, he noticed that there were some cool things that you could see as you adjusted the angle between the mirrors. So here we have the kaleidoscope adjusted in such a way that there's about 8 reflections. So what David Brewster noticed was that you change the angle of the kaleidoscope, you get very different patterns. Certain angles give you more interesting patterns than others. An angle, say 60 degrees, gives you a nice 6-fold symmetry around the pattern. Going to 90 degrees gives you a nice 4-fold symmetry.
So he talking about angles, giving you a different image. That's just like how I talked about in my Saturn video. Facets, different faces of the gods. Just like a diamond got different faces on it. Okay? Angles of light. Angels is angle of light. An angle of L. I'm keeping it pushing though. So let me close this. Close that. We're gonna get into how you can see things, or there's a light spectrum around you, like I've been talking about, but this is also for people who don't know. You see, there's a light spectrum. We only see up to about the UV radiation. Some people can't. I believe some people can see in the UV radiation, and there are some people who can see past UV radiation, which are like the people with like 4 cones in their eyes and can see colors that other people can't see. You get what I'm saying? So then you got people who are more clairvoyant than others. Then you got people who can learn to be more clairvoyant than they are at the moment and able to see things that are outside of the 0.0035% light spectrum that we see with the physical eyes. So there are things that exist outside of our vision range. Like if you fart or you burp, just because the gas, you can't see the gas that came out of you, don't mean it's not there. You see what I'm saying? This is why you can sense a spirit or know that a spirit is there, but you can't see it. But some spirits can materialize enough for you to be able to see it. But most of the time, a spirit or being that's traveling interdimensionally, aka outside of your vision range, is basically is outside of your vision range. I forgot where I was going. I was doing a good ass stretch. But yeah, you see it's beings outside your range of light or range of vision. It's colors outside your range of vision. It's energy outside your range of vision. It's worlds outside your range of vision. ETC. Okay? So just because you can't see it don't mean it's not there. Things can materialize enough to be seen, but most of the time things cannot materialize enough to be physical. That's what I was trying to say. Dimensional consciousness. Earth and life, the colors look brighter. Look at this. He is going to explain the two-slit experiment or double-slit experiment. You can look this up. There's animated explanations, but listen to this.
I'm going to explain to you what's known as the central mystery of quantum mechanics. It was Richard Feynman, the American physicist, said, this is the central mystery of quantum mechanics. There's lots of weird stuff that goes on in the quantum world. Hit you with this, and it basically tells you what it's all about. It's called the two-slit experiment. I'll start with this. Imagine you have a source of light shining against a screen with two slits.
Right? Now look at this. You heard what he said. Imagine you got a light with two, shine. Basically, look. Okay? Now this is your brain. I want you to pay attention to this and use this model in your brain. Okay? Excuse me. You remember this and picture this model with what he's saying. Parallel it. Because right here, this is where you be having the picture in the back of your mind. Right? And your veins and arteries, the red one is the artery, the blue one is the vein. Your veins bring blood and whatnot to your it brings in blood to your heart. And your arteries bring blood out, or vice versa, whatever. Right here, you got the thalamus. Right here will be where the pituitary gland be at. Then you got your eyes. So your eyes is like a projector or a camera. So the light come into your eyes, and then it turn upside down when it hits your retina, and then it turn back right side up when it come back here into your cerebral cortex. So this is where the picture be, but the light
Or the cornea, the clear dome-like structure covering the iris.
So this is similar to the Earth. Firmament, this right here, the inside of the Earth. This right here is the part we stand on, which is the Earth, which is the actual Earth part of the planet. This is the rest of the Earth. I would say this area, the little thing right here, would be synonymous to the core of the Earth.
Colored.
So we already know the eyeballs are like a camera. You're able to focus in everything, just like a camera lens. If you understand how your eyes work, like I've been explaining, and you ever use cameras or you know how to use cameras, you know it acts just like the human eye. Keep it pushing.
Part of the eye. The lens directly below it, and the retina, which lines the back of the eye. The retina consists of thin layers of light-sensitive tissue. This candle can help us understand how the eye captures images and then sends them to the brain. First, the candlelight passes through the cornea. As it does, it's bent or refracted.
And this is part of the science. This is only part of the science of sun gazing. Alright? When you absorb light, light contains photons. Photons contain information, so light contains information. This is my favorite quote. Light equals information. So, you getting smarter and you right here in your cerebral cortex, if I'm not mistaken. And then this right here is projecting the light out of your eyes. So these slits will be your eyes, and then right here is the light. So the whole thing about the double slit experiment is things don't take form until you focus on it. You get what I'm saying? This is why when you're not focused on something, everything look blurry. But when you focus on it, it takes shape. So you looking and honing in on light. So light is right in front of your eyes. You don't gotta focus on it, but it's right in front of your eyes. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. Remember how I explained how light is a projection on this planet, and you perceive it based on your brain. Now look at how this dude is explaining it.
The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line.
I know this blurry, forgive me for that. They've been tweaking all day. Okay? Just like the brain.
With the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference.
Now that looked like the tree of life. Right? That looked like the tree of life.
Pattern on
Or the flower of life.
the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing.
Yeah, y'all get it.
So, when we throw
So again, when you focus on stuff, it takes shape. When you got tunnel vision, which is something you always focusing on, you start manifesting, which is why you focus on, or which is why you manifest the things you focus on. The things you give more attention to, the most attention to, is the things that grow. Okay? When you give an emotion to it, it becomes more dense and more likely to manifest. When you take the action into making it manifests even faster because you're trying to bring it into reality. So giving it an emotion is you giving it magnetism, which is meaning you bringing it to yourself. The electricity, that's you thinking it. That's you creating the mental image. So you're creating it in your mind. Everything started as a thought first, basically, before it's done. I wanted to go to the store. It started as a thought. I thought I wanted to go to the store. I wanted to go have sex with my girl. I had it as a thought first. I wanted to go get some groceries. I had it as a thought first. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to go to the basketball game. I had it as a thought first. So keeping it pushing. Back to this. So this right here is a stud finder, which is basically what they use to find like the implants, the physical and etheric ones. This is a stud finder. Now this one is what they use to help find like spirits in rooms and things like that. So this right here is a Gauss meter. A Gauss meter. Now this right here is from a researcher named J. Alfred. Let me shrink this. Who was talking about how humans actually had non-physical bodies and there exists non-physical beings around us. According to plasma metaphysics, dark matter, bioplasma bodies are composed of complex plasma or non-standard particles. Non-standard particles are particles that are outside the physicist's standard model, and which include dark matter, which is 6 times more prevalent in the known universe than ordinary matter. We will realize that most of the encounters with aliens and ghosts are really sporadic encounters with beings from parallel interpenetrating Earth-based magnospheres, like I've been telling y'all. Okay? Interdimensionally traveling beings don't necessarily got to be a spirit. It could be an ET. It could be an actual being interdimensionally traveling. Okay? Which generally do not register on the known magnetosphere spectrum, but can do so if their frequencies are brought down. J. Alfred. Bioplasma bodies composed of non-standard particles glow in the dark, radiate heat, light body, electron, blah, blah, blah. So basically what he's saying is there's such thing as beings who are not physical, made out of dark matter and plasma or light. You see what I'm saying? You can go check this out. You can type in what you see. This is on Think About It, little blog. I showed Think About It blog before in my Guology series. Shout out to Think About It. This is from a camera called a Santilli camera, which was used, I think it got a concave lens. Basically, concave lens and convex lens matter when trying to see things with a camera. And he created one of them. He created a Santilli lens that can see things that are not able to be seen with the human eye. So when you know how when you go in, you can see an orb with a regular camera. Now you can see a little orb with a regular camera, or with certain more professional cameras, you can see like the etheric reptile over a person who is possessed by a reptile. So you can see certain things with certain cameras. But when you get a Centilli camera, you can see things in the sky that you can't see with the naked eye. Okay? But yeah, a Centilli lens is not cheap. This is a quote from Nikola Tesla, which is one of my favorite quotes. It say, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make progress in 1 decade than it all." Okay, let me reread that. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than all the previous centuries of its existence. So this is us before physical bodies. Before physical bodies, this is us light beings walking around. So yeah, now back to this video. Hold up. Let me show this one more slide. Basically, all planets have a north and south pole, and they have these vortexes on them. Okay, all planets got them. Just like Dr. Delbert Blair said, most planets are likely to be hollow. All the planets in the solar system have these spots on it. Jupiter, Venus, Earth, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto. They all got, and they got pyramids on them. They all got pyramids. I don't know about the gas planets, but all the other planets got pyramids on them, and they have these holes in them, so they all hollow. This what the holes look like. This what the vortex on Jupiter look like. Okay, so yeah, basically this is Isis. This is Neith also. This represent like coronal mass ejections coming from the poles, or just a release of energy. You get what I'm saying? So this can also be representative of Venus when it was flying and said to have a tail and wings, which is basically representative of Quetzalcoatl. Okay, that's what Quetzalcoatl represents. That's why Quetzalcoatl symbol is a winged dragon. It represents Venus when it was flying. That's why it was called a comet. That's why the goddess of Venus is called, one of the goddesses of Venus is called Aster. Asteroid. Venus was an asteroid. Okay? So yeah, again, Earth has multiple moons, and it has always had multiple moons. What else? That's it. Back to this video. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is, if you ever seen people using on TV and stuff like that, using like the spirit detecting the heat type of technology, look at this.
Can you show up on the bed, please?
So you see that blue area right there. There's an entity there who just said,
go farther onto the
yourself
bed?
on the bed.
Besides the nightstand?
Now look.
Is that you next to the bed?
You can't really see that, can you? Hold up. Hold up. Basically, what happens is when you see this, right? Look at that. First, he told the being to come and reveal itself. All it showed was this blue. So this means it was detecting like the aura or the energy or magnetism or whatever this is that is detecting right here coming off of this entity. Then it materialized itself enough for the camera to be able to detect a body figure. So right here you can see the legs right here. The legs. This is the body. The arms is right here. The shoulder connect right there with this square. This the arm. That's where the hand is right there with the square at. This is the other shoulder right here. The arm is somewhere right here. So you see what I'm saying?
Can you come onto the bed now? Oh, you just showed up on the bed.
Look at it.
Oh, you just showed up on the bed.
But yeah, that's basically it. Let me get back to this video of what this lady explaining.
Distant from each other, but actually they are part of only.
That's really pretty much it. If you want to stay for the rest of this, I'm about to play the rest of this video here. She about to go crazy and yeah, she about to watch this. She about to flush this. She about to go crazy. Listen.
One light, one white light.
So we think we are looking into space and we see Venus here and Mercury there and
Jupiter
so on, but
there.
it's only a picture in the mirror, and in reality actually they are all part of
A geometry that is multidimensional geometry, and also Kepler tried to explain it. It's like we are not in three space dimensions and one time dimension. We are not in a space time that Einstein also has illustrated.
Oh, by the way, before this video, I gotta make sure I say this. Where is it? Sirius C is Nemesis. When you ever hear and you reading about Nibiru and you run into a planet called Nemesis, Nemesis is Sirius C. When you hear about Black Sun orbiting Earth, if it's not talking about the portal, it's talking about this black dark star Sirius C. Okay? It's talking about Sirius C. Sirius C is Anubis.
We are in a multidimensional geometry, and what we see is a projection of these different kind of planets which are not distant. They are made of a different kind of matter, or different kind of, you say, of vibration, of frequencies, that appears to us as distant, but they are not actually distant, they are only distinct.
So it is as when I am in my bathroom and opening the mirrors and they mirror each other, I see infinity, but it's not real. My bathroom isn't infinite.
But you see infinite images of yourself.
Yeah.
Just two mirrors, you make
Yes.
you have infinity there. So what I say that is not what we see in the sky is not reality.
It's a screen, a plasma screen.
Yes, it's a plasma multi-screen in multiple dimensions. So we see we can see also infinite Earth-like planets, but they are just images of the Earth.
And all dimensions are intertwined with each other, just like how we experience time on this third dimension, but the fourth dimension is time itself. See what I'm saying? And the first and second dimensions are dimensions themselves, but those two are within the third dimension. And the first through fourth dimension are inside the fifth dimension, but they are under it, if you get what I'm saying. So they are a lower part. We basically inside of all dimensions right now, but we are at the very, like, the center lower dimension. So we in the third, but the first and second dimensions exist in the third dimension with us. Beings who are in the first and second dimension are second density consciousness animals like ants and starfish and things like that. Okay? And bacteria and stuff. So those are first and second. Third are beings like us and animals who live in the physical third dimension. Fourth is the fourth dimension, which is time, which is etheric, which is half physical, half etheric, which is where spirits reside, which is what people call the fourth dimension. But you don't got to call it the fourth dimension because spirits don't ain't the only thing that's there. There's energy there. Okay, there's different realms. There's different possibilities. Okay, and it's also associated with truth, which means being transparent. Okay, it's about being transparent, just like how a spirit is transparent, and it's about truth and emotion. So again, beings can see your thoughts and your emotions, like I talked about in my previous video with astral projection.
The images of what we humans believe the sky is. In my thesis, that is actually an old thesis, I'm translating it in contemporary discoveries. We are not seeing reality. We have to see the mirror of our beliefs. So when you see Wikipedia that says Mars is distant so many kilometers, Venus, Jupiter is distant, we actually don't know. The sun is so distant, 150 million, sorry. We don't actually know. This is a mirror, a multiple mirrors, images that could be inside each other. The Earth, the revelation of baby sun is that the small sun inside the Earth is actually made of 3 spheres. I spoke about this.
Also, if you still watching, I want to know y'all opinion on Nibiru hitting Earth and Nibiru actually being Venus. I want to know y'all opinion on the star and Sirius orbiting each other while orbiting around Alcyon. And I also want to know y'all opinion on this being the actual God of the Bible, this being Anu, and him creating the grays and the gargoyles.
Solid.
And also, the planets actually orbiting around Tiamat instead of the sun, and the sun actually being a part of the Earth.
One, the crystalline one, the liquid one, and there is a third sphere that is very small, is 300 kilometers, that rotates westward, whereas the crystalline core rotates eastward. This means that the real source of energy is the double motion, eastward and westward. And this makes everything rotates, the mirror too. And so what we see are actually is a lot of images projected on that cave that is our magnetosphere. It's like the Platonic cave. And what we see projected on the sky, on the cave, is a lot of shadow, said Plato, and Giordano Bruno too. We just look at images, if we that we mistake them for bodies.
A little like, or another picture would be a kaleidoscope.
Exactly. And the crucial question that we don't answer, and nobody can answer, I'm sorry, unfortunately, is what is life? What moves all this? Because everything rotates at incredible speeds and without making gasoline.
Yes, you say the source of all the energy is not a fool, but movement.
It's movement.
Yes.
And the source, it is a genial kind of motion because it's double motion. So it self-fuels itself without need for outer fuels. we always say that we are with limited resources. We need to buy petrol, or we have to make nuclear plants, or also alternative energy. But the problem is not energy. The problem is to realize
that everything is plenty.
absolutely, because the reality is not made by objects. Reality is made by different motions that nourish themselves. They motion.
So let me try to say the my words to see if I really understood. You say what we see.
I just thought about something. I don't want to forget this. By the way, this deity right here, Neith, this is why her name is Neith, is also associated with knit, just like how spiders create patterns and weave and knit, and so with their webs, she do the same thing. Okay, she do the same thing. Knit. She seed energy. She distribute and is a supporter of energy. All right. She also represents birth and protection, just like a magnetic field protects the earth from coronal mass ejections. Okay, just like the earth is being hit with now and has been being hit with for the past couple years, which I've been talking about. Okay, keep it pushing.
As distinct objects in the sky, the planets, and also the sun.
The sun is a reflection of the inner sun, by the way. It's just like a mother with a baby in her stomach.
Is not really there, but this is a projection on multiple and multidimensional plasma screens. And the energy that makes all these movements and happening and the first mover is the inner core of our Earth.
Exactly.
So we always thought and we are taught that our energy comes from the sun, and we need the sun, and the sun is very far away, and so on, and we must learn how to use it correctly, and so on. But actually, the sun is only a picture of something that is inside our Earth. So we have it all in us on every level.
The reason the cosmos is set up like that with the earth is because we don't live inside the earth. So the earth is showing us what's inside the earth. So what's outside the earth is also inside the earth.
The physical level and on the spiritual level.
Well, let's speak about what we know, that is material level, because the key point is what matter is. We don't know what time is, we don't know what matter is, and we don't know even what space is. If we are in a hall of mirrors, space is created by the mirrors. So it's an illusion. We don't even know what is time, because time, we always think of time as an error, a terrible error, that linear error that goes on towards the end, that is death or whatever. But
time ain't nothing but calculating rotation and reoccurring events in energy pockets. So if you take away time, an orbit is just an orbit, my nigga. But you are just calculating the amount of time it took for this orbit to, make its way around and stuff like that. So that's all time is. So time don't really necessarily exist, but it do exist at the same time. Like the Gregorian chronological numbers, that whole system, that's all Saturn. Okay, above that, because time is the fourth dimension. There is no time, unless you want to say time is more fluid when you get to the fifth dimension, because you create faster. But it's not time. Like, there's no time. You're not bound by time, if you get what I'm saying. In the fifth dimension, you're not bound by time. Time is able to be used as a tool if you want to, but you're not bound by time in the fifth dimension.
Actually, in our lives, we live many different times. Conception, orgasm, hormonal secretion, they are all very short events. They last like 1 billion of seconds. And in that short event, there is a lot of information, of genetic information too. So life expresses, manifests itself through conception, for example, and through very short moments. Mm-hmm. It's a different rhythm from the one linear time on which we all depend. We depend on salaries, debt, financial crisis, works that there is no work, and so on. All depend on a time that we don't know what it actually is. Mm-hmm. Scientists measure one peculiar time, atomic time.
If you don't understand time, I broke down what time is in my Cosmic Intentions video about Saturn and my video about 5D.
And they have adopted it as a universal time. But this is not universal time. It's a peculiar frequency of a metal that is calcium. So we don't know what. We just made a convention, but we don't ask ourselves what time is. At the end, the crucial problem is matter. What is matter? All the researchers have shown that matter is not made of balls. There are not small balls in the sky and little balls.
Matter, atom, is not small little balls. Like I just showed y'all earlier, it's fuzzy matter or fuzzy energy, little. If you focus on it, then it takes shape.
On Earth.
Big balls in the sky.
So, quantum.
I mean, obviously you can't focus on it with the naked eye, but you get what I'm saying, under a microscope. But it's not little balls. Like, it's not how they look in the pictures. Is basically what I'm saying.
Physics has demonstrated that there are no balls at atomic level, but they don't still admit what many scientists have said, and also many sages said since thousands of years, that the nuclear particles with our quarks are not little small balls either.
What are they?
They are, in my view, and I repeat what many people said, they are mini black holes.
Oh.
They are mini spinning black holes. And black holes are instant connection among different universes. This means that we are not separated from the sun, we are not separated from the Earth's core, because we are instantly connected with our emotion, with our consciousness, with the presence that we are always felt.
So this connection is holographic. It's in every particle and every cell, and on every level we are connected, and the core of the connection are tiny black holes.
Yes, every core is instantly connected. All the atomic nucleus of the universes have the same force, the same nuclear forces. So they are all connected. But the key point is, can this nuclei change? Can this nuclei transmute? Yes, they can, if both nuclear forces are considered.
You say both nuclear forces. We know about nuclear forces with the nuclear plants and so on. Which are very destructive, Chernobyl and Fukushima and so on. This is one of the nuclear forces that
there are always
there
two.
or abused there.
People say we humans have abused them, but actually we just know how to use one of the two that are recognized. There are two nuclear forces that are called weak and strong nuclear force. They always operate together.
Alright, she talking about weak force and strong force now.
Yet we know and we measure them both. Yet we know how to use the strong nuclear forces that repeat itself, and we know how this strong force behave. We can predict its behavior. On the contrary, we cannot predict the behavior of the so-called weak nuclear force.
Why is it called weak? Weak sounds weak.
Because the artificial instruments feel as weak, because it is 1,000 faster than the strong one. So it's if you see something very rapid that passes for an instrument might be
too quick
to measure it. But it's possible that our cells and our macromolecules, organic molecules, are instead able to feel this very rapid force as eros, love, emotion. We are not mechanical instruments, we are not robots. And my thesis is what scientists call the weak nuclear force is actually what we feel as love.
So it's not weak, it's only immediate and rapid.
It's extremely light, like Cupid, like Eros, and like the orgasm. Also we experience that love is very fast, no? It lasts for a short time.
It sounds like she describing orgone energy, which is androgynous. You got magnetism, you got electricity, and then you got orgone in the middle. We're going to get into the middle way of things throughout the rest of the videos.
While on the...
Like how you got Saturn, Mars, and Venus represent the unholy trinity. Okay?
Contrary, hate is very stable, is what dominates.
And again, the eye, I probably misinterpreted this back then, but the eye on those Masonic temples, that represent Saturn, if I didn't already say that. But it represents Saturn, the G in the Masonic tool symbol with the little tool with the G in the middle. The G represents God and it means Saturn. Okay? The G is Saturn. That's their God, not the prime creator of everybody or everything. It's just their God. So that's why it's G. It means God, and it also means geometry, which is why the surrounding tool is a tool. You see where I'm going here? So this got ringing in my ear.
Our society, unfortunately, because we all feel love, but it's not stable, it's not predictable.
It's free? Could you say it's free? If you say it's not predictable?
Predictable means that you can fall in love and you don't know.
Also, by the way, that's what Israel is. Isis, Ra, El. Isis is Venus, Ra is Mars, El is Saturn. So the Israelites, Mars, Venus, Saturn, same stuff.
But abruptly you fall in love, maybe you marry, you make sons, after saying, oh, what was that? But this is the normal law for humans. And all the religion has controlled sex, controlled human relationship, sexual relationship mainly, and this was used by any power to control people, to make them unhappy, to control their sexual activities, and to let us believe that the only force is stability. The strong nuclear force is stable. It repeats itself always at the same. Science is all based on repetition. What is repeated is true. What is not repeated is not true. So we can repeat the universe, we can repeat our life. No, it's always different.
So when scientists now start to focus on the importance of the weak nuclear force, they are detecting love, so to speak, as an important factor in our world.
The problem for science is that they cannot predict its behavior. And therefore they look for something that higher than because the weak nuclear force is only the one which links different kinds of matter. This is absolutely proved.
As love does. It links.
It links. But links very different kind of matter, so we just see one kind of matter. That is 4% of all the calculated mass. And we don't know even what moves this 4%, why we are alive, why we suffer, we think, we breathe, we speak to each other, we communicate, because we are missing the most the strongest force of nature, and we call it weak. It would change everything.
Yes, but your book is named Baby Sun Revelation, or Die Geburt der inneren Sonne, so it is changing now.
Absolutely, it is changing our mind. It's changing our way of thinking the universe, of thinking ourselves. We just see one word, and the same force can link many different words. Also show that we are not mortal, but there are different kind of matter, and that is just living this costume of the scene that is made of a peculiar kind of matter, but it is not the only one.
So everything we are taught, or most of it, is just not true.
There are a lot of mistakes, a lot of deception, because we think at matter as something stable, real, and that we have to trust. Instead, matter is the matter that we can observe is just a very small fraction of what we say we do calculate. It's just 4% of what we do calculate.
So we know there must be much more, 96% more,
Absolutely.
but we cannot perceive it with our senses, with our technical possibilities.
We can perceive it. All the sages, all the poets, all the artists have shown it.
Not with our senses and our technique. But
No.
with our heart, we can perceive it. Eh?
With ourselves, and essentially within our bodies, because we have the most complex brain of all the animals. We have inner potentialities to know without seeing, without.
I just want to know. I mean, I just want to say, just to jump off what she said. We only see 4% of the universe when we look up there, and when we go up there. We only see 4% of the universe. So the other 90%, 96% is like stuff that they can't see or they don't know what it is.
Words without experiment, repeatable
So again, we only see 4% of the universe.
experiment. We can learn through experiences that are not experiment. This is the inner sun is, in my view, is the prime motor of whatever kind of lives that manifests in what we can see and also manifests itself in what we cannot see but we can feel. Actually, many sages spoken of the earth's inner sun.
The sun in the earth?
Earth, oh yes, Earth's, the sun in the earth, okay, 1,000 years ago.
Without any instrument.
Any instrument. And I believe that Goethe also spoke something like that.
Yes, and I remember that Rudolf Steiner said that the distances our astronomy is telling us are not accurate, and it's just calculations that have no real relevance and are wrong from wrong assumptions.
Yeah, the greatest Italian poet, that is Dante Alighieri, he lives in the Middle Ages. He also spoke about the crystalline sun at the center of the earth.
And there are many painters who painted
absolutely
wonderful pictures.
Also ancient Greek spoke about the world of the dead, like that was below the earth's surface. And
the underworld. But that's it. You can go check this video out if you want to. This is the time. This is the title of the video, because both of these two people first language is not English. But that's it, y'all. I love y'all. Like, subscribe, peace.